Good morning. The polarization of good and evil is a Messianic process. Why? Look around you. Look at the world. Depending on the news you watch, the world looks like it's really doing bad. And I look around me and I see such wonderful people doing such good things. I say the world's getting better and better. You look at racism, you look at the disparity of the distribution of wealth, you look at the growth in sciences and knowledge, you look in the direction of people seeking truth and peace, you see a lot of goodness. And that is really a counterbalance to the amount of evil that we see in the world as well. Now, the Zohar teaches us that the Messianic process is a 2,000-year period, so it's a long haul. And what's happening in that process is the separation of good and evil. See, 6,000 years is the length of time God set for the maturation of humanity into a divine race. 6,000 years. 2,000 is the time of chaos until Abraham comes. Abraham introduces this novel idea of having people come inside your tent and talking to them about God and giving them food and drink and letting them have a little wash up, That's the second period, which is called the period of the law. When you have chaos, you add law to chaos. What does it produce? The control of the power of chaos into vessels. So electricity is a dangerous thing when it's just a wild, a wire hanging from a pole. But if you control that wire, conduct the energy that is there into the proper vessels, places, you create the third stage, which is called redemption. It's called redeeming the chaos that was trapped in the vessels of the law and producing a new thing. The new thing, of course, is the 1,000-year period of peace that many people talk about in Kabbalah. It's the time where the redemption of the Jewish people is set in the land, where the law is in place, and where people actualize their potential. All of this is part of what we call this Messianic process. Now, the separations of good and evil we see throughout the Torah, constantly. The most, I think, important one that we notice is the when Moses himself, the leader of the people after they have sinned, he lifts up his tent and he goes outside the camp. He says, I can't live with you. Why? Because the Shekhinah, the divine presence, can't dwell with him if he's in an impure place. And we see that same idea by the Mitzorah, the person who speaks publicly, Lashon Hara, evil speech about other people in public, is one of the biggest sins you could do because you create separations in the people, and the people themselves are carrying the Shekhinah, the unified presence of God. So if you speak about people negatively, you create separations in the divine presence. What does the Torah say to do with that person? Outside the camp. A week. He has to purify himself. There's a whole process. Then we see other cases of this separation of good and evil. Places like the nations that want to dwell in Israel have to keep certain laws of the Torah to be here. They can't serve idols because if God gets angry when we serve idols. And that word idol can be defined in a very expanded way. It's not just bowing down to a statue. It's the occult, it's magic. It's giving your power to something else like your boss or your government. They'll do anything to take your power if you let them. All of that, if I believe in that power, Arur Hadam Shebotech Ba'adam, cursed is the man who believes in another man. It doesn't mean I don't believe in your good. It doesn't mean I don't support your your righteousness and your good projects and your good ideas. But if I believe in the totality of any human being, I forget that every human being carries the spark of the other side, the dark side. So I can't believe in that. I believe in God, and I believe in His Torah, and I believe in the teachings that are emerging from the divine presence. But the divine presence can't dwell with Moses. He can't dwell in a camp where people speak evil. The divine presence can't dwell where there's a dead body. We have to separate that. So all these separations are designed to increase our holiness and to draw the divine presence out of creation, out of the hidden places of the non-physical realm. Okay, now Rabbi Nachman says, listen closely. The purpose of war is because we don't have true peace. And when you don't have true peace, you always go back to war. So why can't we get true peace here in this war that we're having right now? Well, because this war is designed to get us closer to true peace. It's designed to separate good from evil. That's the truth in the judicial controversy in this country. How do you run the country? Do you let the Supreme Court have the last say? Or does the Prime Minister have the last say? Or do the Knesset members, which are like senators, do they have the last say? How do you separate power? How do you delegate power? If you give too much power in one area of the government, we have a big problem. And that big problem is rooted all the way back in this idea of separating good and evil. And so the conflicts, the controversies that you see are all designed by God to get us to seek true peace. And this true peace, of course, is in the laws of the Torah, how to conduct the government, how to conduct yourself, how to conduct a family, a small community. There are laws for all of this in the Torah. So we want true peace, and we have to fight for it, is the bottom line. But evil doesn't want true peace. Evil wants to keep fighting forever. Forever. And you know what evil does when it wins forever? It destructs itself in the end anyways. We see this, you look at in the world history of all the tyrants and dictators. They all end up self-destruction. God doesn't have to bring an angel out of heaven to kill them. They're going to kill themselves. And that too is an idea of separating out the good from the evil, or reverse, taking the evil out of the good, which is what the whole idea of having a land called Israel is, to create a space where we can remove the not good. Now, I remember as a kid, I was, I don't know, I must have been 5 years old, maybe less. And I was taking salad dressing on the table and shaking the bottle to make a nice mix, And it kept separating. By the time I opened the cap and get to pour it on the salad, the salad dressing was already separating. Well, of course, we all know why, because water and oil don't mix. And vinegar and oil also have a problem. They try, but, well, they go good on salad, but olive oil and water are never going to stay together. We can look at all the scientific reasons for that, but we're only using it as an example. My friends, we cannot mix two things that are designed to be different. And so then we come across the big question, well, what is the design or the purpose of evil? Is because in the beginning we were all part of God, and we didn't recognize evil. And we couldn't even recognize God. We couldn't recognize His greatness because we were so embedded in His greatness, we had no thing to measure His greatness by. And a way to appreciate who we were, and a way to understand that we live in the midst of something so fantastic we can't even put our finger on it, this creation. So God wanted to give us the separation from him in order to recognize his presence, to recognize his specialness, the uniqueness of the divine presence, and to recognize that spark inside ourselves. So to do so, he had to separate us, and that's about the whole fall in the garden. That created free choice, good and evil, the Torah of the knowledge of the tree of good and evil. And that knowledge, well, it's still pressing our buttons till this day. Which choice are you going to make? The good one or the evil one? But ultimately, it's the work of the separation that defines us. It's doing the work to separate the evil from us to become totally good so that the divine will rest on us, so that we can have a world, a community, a family, a heart that is one with God. And the hard work is to remove the shame of receiving something for nothing. Work replaces that shame. You ever notice how people, when you want to give them something, they kind of demur, they kind of, duck their head a little bit. They kind of want to put their hand out to receive the gift, but it's embarrassing to receive a gift. But that's what all this creation is. And God wants to remove the embarrassment. How? To make us partners in the purification and the perfection. That's all part of this Messianic process. And ultimately, he made us from him. Therefore, we're like him. And then we fell so we can recognize that we're not him, but we really are inside a part of him. And by doing the work, we become like him in a revealed way, as opposed to the hidden way, which is the mark of exile, the mark of all these thousands of years. And then we hit the gate where things are really good, and peace really exists, and evil really is gone. And you know how it looks? It looks like this world, except you wake up in the morning and you don't even think about doing something against God. It doesn't even arise on your consciousness to go against the laws of the Torah. It doesn't even occur to you to do sin. I've been to Uman on Rosh Hashanah, this gathering of Breslover Hasidim. And I'm telling you, for a week, you feel this feeling. Nobody, it seems like, is really looking to do harm to anybody else. It's an amazing feeling. You feel this purity of self. And it's the innocence of a child mixed with the intelligence of an adult. So we want to recover that innocence. We want to recover that knowledge of the adult. We want to put them together in our relationship with the Creator. And that, my friends, brings the whole point of the polarization of good and evil to its purpose. To make man see himself and God as one perfect entity, one perfect unity of heaven and earth, physical and spiritual, material, and the energy that enlivens the material, to make them all one. And when that day happens, I want to be here, and I hope all of you are here too. God bless you all. We'll continue with these talks because this is what we got. This is what we were given. We got to pass it on. All the best.